I want to start today with a feeling that I think we all know.
Oh, definitely.
We walk into your house after a long day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pile of mail on the counter. There are dishes in the sink.
Right.
Maybe the news is blaring something terrible about the economy in the background. And for most of us, that's just...
It's just Tuesday.
Exactly. It's just a Tuesday. It's annoying, maybe a little stressful, but we pour a drink and we move on.
We let it go.
Yeah. But for the personality profile we're unpacking today, that scenario isn't just annoying. It is a 4-alarm emergency.
It's the sensation that the walls are literally crumbling.
Yes.
It's not just a mess to them. It is an existential threat.
Exactly. We are doing a deep dive today into a very specific constitutional type, which is known in the literature as Arsenicum album.
Right, which usually when people hear that, they immediately think of the homeopathic remedy.
They do, and yes, that is absolutely the source material we are pulling from today. We've got clinical observations. We have these massive data sets called repertories, like Kent's repertory, and historical case studies that go back almost 200 years.
But just to be clear, we aren't here to talk about dosages or pills.
No, at all.
We are looking at the psychological profile that these texts have built over centuries, because what they describe is arguably one of the most detailed and honestly tragic portraits of human anxiety you will ever read.
The mission today is really to figure out the why, because we all know this person.
Oh, definitely do.
The person who is obsessed with order, who is absolutely terrified of germs, who grips their wallet like it's a lifeline.
Right.
But the sources suggest this isn't just about being neat or being cheap. It's about a desperate, clawing need for control in a universe that feels completely indifferent to them.
It really is a study in survival. The central theme here isn't perfectionism at all. It's defense.
Okay.
If you read the old texts, specifically the work by Kent and Herring, they paint a picture of a person who believes, at a core level, that the world is hostile. And the only way to survive a hostile world is to control every single variable within your reach.
And to understand that hostility, we have to start with the term the sources use as the foundation for this whole personality. They call it physical insecurity.
Yes.
But they immediately link it to something most of us remember from Psych 101. They connect the Arsenicum type directly to the Freudian anal-retentive stage.
Which is a term that gets thrown around as a joke a lot in pop culture.
Constantly. Like, oh, he's so anal about his coffee order.
Right, exactly. But the source material takes it very literally. In Freud's developmental theory, this refers to a specific window in early childhood.
Right.
It's the exact moment a child realizes they have autonomy over their own body, specifically their bowel movements.
It's the very first time a kid realizes, wait a minute, I can say no. I can hold this in.
Precisely. It's the realization that I can hold on. The child retains their stool to exert control over the parents.
It's a power play.
It is entirely a power play. It's defiance. But the texts explain that in the Arsenicum Constitution, the person essentially gets stuck in that mode.
They never grow out of it.
They never stop holding on.
So that childhood mechanism, the idea that I control what leaves my body, that mutates as they grow up, it becomes their whole operating system.
It calcifies. It transforms into 3 main pillars that define their adult life. The first is orderliness, which is controlling the environment.
Okay.
The second is parsimony, which is the clinical term for stinginess or controlling resources. And the third is obstinacy, which is controlling the will.
Order, stinginess, and stubbornness, the trifecta of control.
But here is the insight that makes this so fascinating. The text emphasizes that this isn't done out of malice.
Right. They aren't trying to be difficult.
Exactly. It's done out of fear. They feel that if they relax that grip, if they spend the money or leave the room messy or even admit they're wrong, they will suffer physical disintegration.
They will literally fall apart. It's intense to think that a clean kitchen is the only thing standing between someone and existential dread.
That is exactly how high the stakes are for them. And the sources warn that because the stakes are that high, if you challenge that order, you don't just get annoyance.
You get a reaction.
You get rage. The texts describe a rapid slide into defiance and even revenge. If you mess up their system, you aren't just being messy, you are threatening their actual safety.
Let's dig into that system a bit more. The orderliness pillar. The specific rubric, which is the term for the symptom category in these texts, is fastidiousness.
Yes.
And the literature seems to crown Arsenicum as the absolute king of this.
The undisputed monarch of fastidiousness. But we do have to make a distinction here because plenty of people are clean.
Sure.
The source material draws a really sharp contrast here with another type called Nux vomica.
Oh, I remember looking at that. Nux vomica is the CEO type, right? The highly efficient executive.
Right. The Nux vomica individual is tidy because they are efficient. They have a clean desk because they need to process paperwork fast. They want clear workflows.
Sure.
But if you went to their house on a Sunday, it might be a disaster zone. Or they might just shove everything into a closet just to get it out of the way. They are pragmatic.
But Arsenicum is different.
Very different. Arsenicum is fastidious everywhere, all the time. It is not about efficiency. It's about anxiety alleviation. The texts mention a historical observation of a patient who viewed cleanliness as a sacred rite.
A sacred rite. That implies something religious, like they are worshiping at the altar of Clorox or something.
It really does. There's a specific detail in one of the case studies that stuck with me. A patient who would inspect the fingernails of others, strangers, friends with priestly zeal.
Priestly zeal. That is so uncomfortable. Imagine having someone grab your hand at a dinner party and inspect your cuticles like they're searching for a moral failing.
But that is exactly how they see it. For the Arsenicum mind, dirt isn't just matter out of place. Dirt is chaos. Dirt is danger.
So by cleaning, they are performing a ritual to keep the danger at bay.
Exactly. If the fingernails are clean, if the floor is swept, then maybe the bad things won't happen.
And this perfectionism bleeds into everything, doesn't it? Even how they talk.
The immaculate syntax.
Yes.
The sources describe them as having precise, crisp pronunciation. They often despise slang. They hate messy language.
They practice what they preach regarding purity.
You won't hear an Arsenicum type mumbling or using loose grammar. Every sentence is constructed like a brick wall. Solid, defensive, perfect.
It makes sense then why the text lists such specific career paths for them. You wouldn't want this person running a chaotic, creative brainstorming session where there are no bad ideas.
Oh no, that would be absolute torture for them. They would be trying to organize the Post-it notes by color and size while everyone else is trying to be creative.
Right.
The texts suggest fields like accountancy, fine craft work, or being a manicurist.
Manicurist makes perfect sense after the fingernail anecdote. You are literally cleaning and perfecting the tips of the fingers.
Exactly. Anything where the parameters are known, the rules are clear, and a mistake is absolutely unacceptable. They thrive in those environments because they can control the outcome.
So we've secured the environment. The house is clean. The grammar is perfect. But we have to talk about the second pillar now, parsimony.
The money.
Because this is where the profile starts to feel very familiar to anyone who knows classic literature.
The sources explicitly reference Ebenezer Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. It is almost a perfect clinical overlay. The Arsenicum type suffers from an overwhelming, unrealistic fear of poverty.
Unrealistic being the key word there.
Crucial. The text notes that these individuals could be millionaires. They could have enough money to last 3 lifetimes.
But they still worry.
They live in constant gnawing terror of destitution. This isn't budgeting. This is pathology. They truly believe that one wrong move will leave them starving in the gutter.
And it manifests in hoarding, right? But not the hoarder's reality show kind, where the house is filled with trash and old pizza boxes.
No, because remember, they are fastidious. They hoard neatly.
Right, of course.
They save lengths of string, old jars, paper clips. They organize them in labeled boxes.
String too short to use.
Exactly. But the logic for them is, I might need this someday, and if I throw it away, I am wasting resources, and if I waste resources, I will die.
Wow.
It connects right back to that survival instinct. The source material uses a very sad phrase here. Financial correctness eclipses matters of the heart.
That is the ultimate Scrooge element right there.
They will prioritize saving a few cents over a relationship. They view people who spend money freely as irresponsible or dangerous.
So generosity is a threat.
Generosity feels like a leak in the boat. If you buy a round of drinks, to them, you are recklessly endangering your survival.
It's interesting, though, because the deep dive material shows a pivot here. This anxiety about losing assets transitions into anxiety about losing health.
Well, it's the exact same root cause. Physical insecurity. Your body is just another asset you have to manage and hoard. So just as they audit their bank accounts, they audit their bodies. The text lists a profound fear of cancer, germs, contagion.
And back to the anal-retentive theme, a Total preoccupation with the bowels.
Yes, you really can't escape it in this profile. Even if they aren't constipated, they are obsessed with whether their system is working correctly. They monitor their inputs and outputs with military precision.
But the ultimate fear, the thing they are really running from, is death.
The sources make a really interesting contrast here with another remedy called syphilinum.
Oh, right.
Syphilinum is described as having a fascination with death, almost a dark romance with it. Arsenicum is the polar opposite. They are terrified of death because it is the great unknown.
You can't control it.
You can't organize the afterlife. You can't tidy up a corpse. It is the ultimate loss of control.
And this fear isn't constant, is it? It spikes.
It spikes at night and when they are alone. That is a key diagnostic feature in the text.
When things get quiet.
Right. When the distractions of the day fade, when they can't busy themselves with cleaning or accounting, the fear creeps in. That is when the pacing starts.
Which brings us to how they treat the people who are trying to help them. If you're a doctor and an arsenicum patient walks in, you are in for a rough time. The sources use the word suspicious.
Suspicious is putting it mildly. The text suggests that if you are a doctor treating an arsenicum type, you are going to be audited.
Audited, like a tax return.
Mentally, yes. They will scrutinize your diploma on the wall. They will ask where you train. They will check your history for any harm you might have caused.
They assume you're incompetent.
They fundamentally do not trust that you know what you're doing. They assume incompetence until proven otherwise.
Are you sure that's the right dosage, doctor?
Yeah.
Because I read online.
Exactly that. And in severe cases, the texts mention this, particularly with senile dementia or advanced pathology, this suspicion curdles into genuine paranoia.
Okay.
There is a literal fear of being poisoned. They believe people are out to get them, to take their store of vitality or money.
And physically, what are we seeing? If I am looking at an arsenicum individual in this state of anxiety, what do they look like?
You are seeing restlessness. Extreme, agonizing restlessness. They cannot sit still. They are pacing, wringing their hands.
There's a ball of nervous energy.
Yes. The texts note that reassurance is almost impossible. You can tell them you're fine, the tests are clear, and they might believe you for 30 seconds.
But then it comes back.
But then the doubt creeps back in. What if you missed something? What if the lab swapped the vials?
Now, this is where the deep dive gets really visually specific, which I loved. The source material actually breaks the arsenicum type down into two distinct physical subtypes.
Yes, the draw horse and the thoroughbred.
I thought this was fascinating. Like the personality comes in two different packaging options. Let's start with the draw horse. I am picturing something sturdy.
That is the earthy type. Visually, the text describes them as short, stocky, muscular, strong limbs. These are the workers.
And personality-wise?
Practical, efficient, sharp intellect, but less focused on the aesthetics. They are immaculately clean and smart, but they aren't trying to win a fashion contest.
They just get it done.
They get the job done. They are the reliable accountant who never misses a detail, or the tradesman who leaves the worksite cleaner than he found it.
Okay, contrasting that with the thoroughbred, this sounds much higher maintenance.
Much higher maintenance. This is the aristocratic type. The text quotes Constantine Herring, who is one of the fathers of American homeopathy, calling this the gold-headed cane patient.
That is such a specific image. You can see it immediately. The 19th century gentleman with a cane looking down his nose at everyone.
Exactly. Appearance-wise, they are described as taut, sinewy, long, bony fingers, thin, fine hair. They look fragile but wired.
Okay.
But the facial feature to look for, and the text is very specific here, is the nose.
The nose.
The aquiline or upturned nose. Especially in women, the text describes it as looking like disdain bred into the features.
Disdain bred into the features. That is scathing.
It is, but it fits the psychology perfectly. This type is described as chic, elegant, but highly discriminating. They are intolerant of anything crude or vulgar.
They only want the best.
They buy the finest clothes, not just to look good, but to separate themselves from the common people.
The text mentions this is often a compensation, right? Like they're trying to prove something.
Yes. Often, this obsession with appearance and high-class aesthetics is compensating for a background of poverty or a perceived lack of prestige. They are wearing their armor.
If I look perfect, no one can touch me.
Exactly. If I look perfect, if I look rich, then I am safe.
Let's move to relationships. We've established they are anxious, suspicious, and obsessed with cleanliness. What is it like to actually live with an arsenicum type? But the sources do say they can be havens of security.
That is the paradox here. They are incredibly difficult, but they are also incredibly dependable. If the roof leaks, the Arsenicum partner has already called the roofer.
Right.
If the bills need paying, they are paid early. You are safe with them. You will never starve. You will never be homeless.
Right.
But the cost is spontaneity. The text warns that they completely lack it. You cannot surprise them with a weekend getaway 20 minutes before leaving.
That's a nightmare for them.
That isn't a fun surprise. That is a panic attack. Who will feed the cat? Did we turn off the stove? What is the itinerary?
It's interesting that the texts say they are often attracted to the opposite types, the reckless ones.
Yes, types like sulfur or phosphorus, the messy, artistic, chaotic people. Arsenicum is drawn to that life force because they feel they lack it themselves.
But then they try to change them.
Inevitably, they try to tidy up their partner.
And as parents?
Strict. Very strict disciplinarians. And here is a key distinction the source makes that is quite heartbreaking. They prioritize a child's material prospects over their emotional fulfillment.
So it's, did you do your homework so you can get a good job, rather than are you happy?
Exactly. Because in their worldview, money equals survival. Emotional happiness is a luxury, survival is a necessity. They are trying to save their children from the poorhouse, not realizing they might be driving them straight into therapy.
Which brings us to the second literary archetype in the texts. We had Scrooge for the money. For the morality and the anger, the text introduces Inspector Javert from Les Miserables.
This is such a powerful comparison. Think about Javert. He is obsessed with the law. He is cold, cruel, and completely lacks empathy.
Right.
But, and this is key, he believes he is the good guy. He hides that lack of feeling behind a shield of piety and rules.
I'm just following the law.
Exactly. For the Arsenicum type, morality can become a weapon. The text says they can use morality as an instrument for hatred. They are right, and you are wrong. It's black and white. There is no gray area in the Arsenicum world.
And underneath that rightness, that cold exterior, the sources say there is something very hot burning.
A volcano of smoldering anger. That is the exact phrase used. Despite the refined, gold-headed cane exterior, they are capable of sudden, explosive rage.
They just snap.
The text even lists sudden impulse to kill in the repertory rubrics.
Whoa! That escalated from checking fingernails to impulse to kill very quickly.
It shows the level of repression. When you hold everything in that tightly, your bowels, your money, your emotions, the pressure builds. When the explosion comes, it is massive.
The source also mentions a specific dynamic with Arsenicum women and families involving veiled threats.
Yes, manipulation. The text describes a penetratingly cold look used to control family members who step out of line. It's psychological control.
But they don't even need to yell.
They don't need to shout to get everyone to sit up straight. They just need to look at you with that disdain. The message is clear. You are failing the standard.
It sounds like they run a tight ship, both at home and at work. Which leads us to their professional life. We mentioned they make good accountants, but what are they like as bosses?
Exacting. They have a sharp eye for wastage. If you are using too much printer paper, they will notice. They are the bosses who count the paper clips. They are the ones who audit the petty cash box every Friday at exactly 4:59 p.m.
But things get done.
Things get done perfectly. But the text discusses their hierarchy of needs. They are capable of enjoying art, philosophy, fine food, but only after the practical matters are resolved.
You can't look at the painting if the tap is leaking.
Exactly. Imagine you are at a dinner party. The conversation is great, the food is wonderful, but the Arsenicum host notices a dripping tap in the kitchen.
That's it. Night over.
They literally cannot hear the conversation anymore. The drip is the only thing that exists. The tap must be fixed first. The bill must be paid. Then, and only then, can we relax.
But the tragedy of the Arsenicum life is that the tap is always leaking somewhere. There's always a new threat.
That really is the tragedy. When you step back and look at this entire profile, the order, the fear, the control, it feels incredibly heavy. The source material ultimately paints a picture of a person who is so desperate to secure their life against loss that they squeeze all the joy out of it.
They provide security for everyone around them, their spouses, their children, but the cost is emotional warmth.
They build a fortress to keep the bad stuff out, but they end up locking themselves in. It's the fortress paradox. You're safe, but you're alone in the cold stone tower. And they are often very lonely people, despite their best efforts to be perfect.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We live in a world that feels increasingly chaotic. Prices are rising. News cycles are terrifying. The future is uncertain.
Very uncertain.
It's easy to feel that urge to clamp down. Do we all have a little bit of that Arsenicum anxiety waking up inside us?
It's a spectrum. We all have that voice that says, if I just organize this, I'll be safe. If I just save enough money, nothing bad can happen.
But the question the sources force us to ask is, at what point does being prepared, saving that extra jar, double-checking the logs, scrutinizing the bank account, cross the line?
Right.
At what point does the need for safety become a sacred right that prevents you from actually living?
Are you owning your things, or are your things and your fears owning you?
Something to think about the next time you find yourself straightening a picture frame that was only a millimeter off.
Yeah.